Welcome to the start of the 2022 racing season in Canada. We're at Sunset Speedway for the opening round of what promises to be one of the most competitive years in the 16-season history of the NASCAR Pinty Series.
In 2022, everything is up for grabs. The question is, who wants it? Who will take control? Who will take charge? When things go wrong, who bounces back even stronger? Take responsibility. Take on the best. It's time to make history. Greatness is for the taking. Welcome to the NASCAR Pinty Series on TSN. We're at Sunset Speedway in Innisfil, Ontario, as we get set for the NTN Ultimate Bearing Experience 250, presented by GD Coates Used Car Superstore. Hello and welcome. I'm Dave Bradley. Along with me is Adam Ross, Kendra Adams, and Todd Lewis will be patrolling the pits for us here today. However, Adam, in the 15-plus years that we've been covering this series, have you ever seen a field this deep to start a season?
Absolutely not, Dave. We've got 18 teams committed to running the full schedule this season, and if you look up and down that list of names, it is the most impressive roster of drivers we've ever had. Add to that, it is the most competitive field of cars we've ever seen brought out to the racetrack. It's going to be a phenomenal year.
Yeah, and when you look at the schedule, too, it's a return to a full national series. 13 races spread across 5 provinces going from coast to coast.
Coast to coast is right. We've got 2 new events on the calendar this year. I am excited about both of them. We're going to Newfoundland in late June. For the first time ever, the series heads to Newfoundland. And then in August for a midweek special, these NASCAR drivers are going to get a chance to race on the dirt at Sunset Speedway.
Another exciting aspect of 2022 will be the battle in the Justin's Rookie of the Year race. We've got young Brandon Watson and JP Bergeron making up that field. Of course, Watson running out of the WMI stable to the RGC group, and Bergeron coming out of the Dave Jacobs Racing stable. So 2 good drivers in really good equipment.
Brandon Watson is as good a late model racer as you will find anywhere. He got a taste of the NASCAR Pinty Series last season, and I think he's really going to be a driver to watch, particularly on a track like Sunset Speedway.
And earlier, Kendra Adams caught up with St. Donat, Quebec's JP Bergeron.
The 23-year-old, nicknamed JP Bergie, is here at Sunset Speedway. Welcome to the NASCAR Pinty Series. You've done a ton of racing across the U.S., ARCA, lots of late models in Quebec as well. How has the adjustment been from this car to what you're normally used to?
Honestly, it's a big swing to get in a Pinty's car. It's a heavy car. I mean, since I drove ARCA, I was like, maybe it's going to be a lot similar. But then I got in Pinty's car on a really short track like Sunset, and I feel like I'm off a bit, honestly, on the driver's side today. Trying to hit my marks every time, but we're getting really good with my crew chief and the adjustments. So we hope we have something good with time trials coming up.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Good luck in today's race. And he will be leaning on the expertise of his crew chief, Mario Gosselin.
Thanks, Kendra. A couple places where drivers like Bergeron, like Watson, might struggle this season on the road and street courses, and there are lots in this schedule.
There really are, Dave. But, you know, if there's one thing we've learned over all the years in this series, we've had a lot of racers come in as oval racers and as road racers, and the good ones just figure out how to be versatile and how to get it done everywhere we go.
Now let's check in once more with our veteran pit reporter, Todd Lewis. Todd, how'd E3 Spark Plugs qualifying go?
Thanks, guys. Absolutely agree. This is going to be one of the most difficult championships to win ever in the NASCAR Pinty Series. 20 cars lined up for E3 Spark Plug qualifying earlier today. And how about a guy who's going for the Rookie of the Year title making an impression in the opening race? It was the 9 car of Brandon Watson who circled this 1-mile oval in an incredibly quick time of 14.8 seconds. The Stainer, Ontario native is making an impression here in the Pinty Series right away, starting from pole. Alongside on the front row, it is another young gun. It is Trayton Lapsovich, who came oh so close to victory here and at other events last season, winning the Rookie of the Year title. He starts alongside the front row. The young guns are going to lead this field to green at Sunset Speedway. We'll come back for the green flag and the start of the 2022 season.
The first race of the 2022 NASCAR Pinty Series season on TSN is brought to you by Pinty's, making great food fun. By E3 Spark Plugs, born to burn. And by Fast Eddie Speedwear, get geared up.
Dave, as we get ready to roll, we see Alex Tagliani rolling onto the racetrack late. They found some issues in that Viagra Chevrolet. They tore through the fuel system, the electrical system. Looks like the car is going to be able to start this race, but things were up in the air.
As your pole sitter Brandon Watson gets strapped in and ready to race in the offseason, we got some great news. NASCAR and Pinty's extended their relationship.
Announcing that we are at NASCAR extending our relationship with Pinty's for 5 years, which will they will stay on board as our series partner. They will also stay on board as official partner of NASCAR. So that'll take us through 2026. So we're excited for the news. They have been a partner now for will be over 10 years for us when we're finished with this.
And LP Dumoulin, the 2021 champion, officially received his third championship ring from NASCAR's Steve O'Donnell.
Always good to get that kind of fantastic news before the season starts, Dave. But now, let's send it trackside for today's command with the folks from NTN Bearings, along with Brian and Sandra Todish.
Driver, start your engines!
And the engines fire to life here on the front straightaway. A great field of race cars. We talked about how competitive this field is going to be for 2022, and we're going to get our first taste here in just a couple minutes.
Doug Gonder walking the field. He takes on a bigger role as a NASCAR official this season. He's looking over the field, making sure everyone's fired and ready to rumble.
And you can see that empty spot beside the 84 of Larry Jackson. That's who we're on board with right now in the O'Neill Electric Dodge. Alex Tagliani had qualified in that spot, but he'll start from the tail.
Let's talk about a couple new faces as well on the NASCAR officials side. Mike Charret, the flagman this season, and new technical director is Jeff Weiss.
As the pace car rolls here, the field will as well, and we'll take a look at the E3 Spark Plug starting grid. On pole, as we mentioned, Brandon Watson starting alongside another young gun, Trayton Lapsevich. LP Dumoulin, Raphael Lessard make up row number 2.
In the third row, it's Marc-Antoine Cameron in the 96, the 17 of DJ Kennington. Row 4 has Larry Jackson in the 84 and Alex Tagliani in the 18.
Row number 5, we find Brett Taylor in the number 3. A welcome back to Gary Clute in the 59. He'll start alongside. Row 6, Kevin Lacroix struggled a little bit in qualifying, and Mark Dilley in the 64.
Row number 7 has Andrew Ranger and JP Bergeron alongside. Then we go to row 8, where it's Glenn Stiers and TJ Renamato.
Back to row 9, that's where you find Dexter Stacy and the number 98 of Sam Fellows making a run of the full season. And row 10 has Brian Cathcart and Wallace Stacy. That rounds out today's starting field.
What a fantastic field of cars, Dave. I think what we're going to see today is different than what we've seen for many years. We're going to see traffic.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at the E3 Spark Plugs race analysis. 250 laps altogether this time. No split 2 races as we've seen here at Sunset Speedway over the last 2 years, but it is a break race.
Let's go trackside with Todd.
Guys, as we get ready to start the season, we're starting early. Teams have not done much testing. Going to be interesting to see how it plays out. The 27 of Andrew Ranger returns in GM Paye colors, and his crew chief is Caden Lapsevich, who will compete against his brother Trayton Lapsevich in this series. Going to be fun to watch all year.
Super anticipation for the 2022 NASCAR Pinty Series as the field bunches up in through turn number 3. You can see them tightly packed now off of turn 4, looking for the green. And we're about to be underway. Now we're up to speed in the NTN Ultimate Bearing Experience 250.
Cars outside here. Clear on the 8, just you and the 20.
Right away, the spotters go to work just like the drivers do, Dave.
That's Jordan Buster, the spotter for the 47 of LP Dumoulin, currently in 3rd spot as he ducks underneath the 8 of Raphael Lessard.
Dawn, even with you.
Raphael Lessard working the outside. Of all the racetracks we go to, Sunset Speedway might have the raciest top groove. A lot of drivers are going to make speed up in that lane, Dave.
It may not look it, but when you're actually standing on the racing surface, the banking here is quite significant. So yeah, once you get that upper groove worked in, it can really work well.
And we've already seen LP Dumoulin in the 47 and especially Marc-Antoine Cameron in the 96 getting so low on the racetrack. They get on the rumble strip. Sometimes you'll see dirt kick up and the cars will kick sideways. Scrubs off a lot of speed.
Inside, bumper, still there, holding on the top here.
Boy, that GM Paillet number 96, Marc-Antoine Cameron, is very quick in the early going of this one. He tucks underneath the three-time series champion and defending series champion of LP Dumoulin, looking for third down the backstretch.
Got the 17 and the 8 ball and no gap yet.
I don't think we can say enough about J.C. Paillet and the group he put together to build these cars and bring cars to the track for Marc-Antoine Cameron and Andrew Ranger. That is not easy to do, let alone do it with equipment that's fast enough to pass defending champion LP Dumoulin.
I was talking to Mark before today's race. I'm asking him, because this deal came together so quickly, how much testing did you get done? He said, really not a lot. They went to Autodrome Chaudière, but he says there's a lot of similarities with that track compared to this one, so they can bring a lot of what they learned that day here today to this one.
Watching the field, still not strung out. We see Kevin Lacroix in the 74 on the inside of Andrew Ranger in the 27. The two GM Paillet cars look identical. The only difference, the numbers on them, the 27 of Ranger, the 96 of Cameron.
Riding on board JP Bergeron, his very first NASCAR Pinty Series race. Mario Gosselin in the pit, guiding him today in the Dave Jacobs Racing Ford Fusion. That'll be a Mustang when we go to the road courses. So the first Mustang making an appearance out of the Dave Jacobs stables.
And what a great year Mario Gosselin's having with his NASCAR teams down south. Great that we're going to see him up here for a few races this year, but I'm just so happy for him for the success that he's found.
Right now, it's the bumper-to-bumper number 74 of Kevin Lacroix trying to get busy on the number 3 North Country Property Maintenance backed entry of Brett Taylor. Taylor finished in the top 5 here 1 year ago.
Mark Tilley up the racetrack just a little bit as we ride on board with Larry Jackson, who'll make the pass to the inside.
Jackson had a pretty good car in practice, pretty good car in qualifying too, so the O'Neill Electric number 84 looking pretty racy in the early going. Diving underneath the Leland IHL number 64 of Dilly once again running out of the WMI shop. And there's Wallace Stacy in the Bullies truck stop number 66, tucks to the inside. He is 1 lap down already.
Wallace Stacy has very little experience in a full fendered asphalt car. He has raced with his son Dexter, but I'll bet you it's been 15 years, and it was in open-wheel dirt modified. So much fun to see him out here, and that's what he wants to do. He wants to be on the track at the same time as his son Dexter.
And as far as caliber of racer goes, this is the deep end of the pool. You're getting your feet wet pretty quickly.
Listen to how quickly they're on and off the throttle.
I love that shot. You can see the focus in the eyes of Rafael Lazard as well.
And as you listen and watch, there's so much rhythm involved with driving a race car. So when they do get a little bit out of shape, and you'll hear it talked about no matter what kind of racing you watch, it takes a matter of laps to get back into your rhythm, to get back to hitting your marks.
Kevin Lacroix on the outside in that battle with the 3 of Brett Taylor. They're just in behind the 64 of Mark Dilley, but this is a great dice. A little bit deeper in the field. They're just outside of the top 5, battling for the tail end of the top 10. Now Lacroix is going to pick it up.
Brett Taylor drove it deep down into turn number 3, but Mark Dilley was there. He had to check up, and that's all Kevin Lacroix needed to complete the pass on Taylor. Drive to the inside of Mark Dilley. It looks like he'll complete that pass as well.
Talking with Lacroix before, this is not a brand new chassis. It's an updated one, but this is the same car they had so much success with a few years ago in the NASCAR Pinty Series. Try to rekindle that magic here in 2022.
Rode on board briefly with Mark Dilley, but look at this. The traffic is heavy for race leader Brandon Watson. Trayton Lapsevich right behind. They're closing in on Glenn Stiers in the Zero machine, and now Trayton Lapsevich has a look to the inside of a race leader.
Yeah, traffic could play a role here. It's a long green flag run to start things up. We've gone 23 laps already. Now 24, all under green to start the NTN Ultimate Bearing Experience 250. And you're right, the leader's in heavy lap traffic now.
Brandon Watson hitting all of his marks so far. You can see not a mark anywhere on that number 9 machine as they race to the outside of Glenn Stiers, and then TJ Renamato in the number 2.
Keep an eye on that 20 car, Trayton Lapsevich, though, the quick back to entry. He's still looking for his first win in the NASCAR Pinty Series. Came close, as we mentioned a few times last year, but this is his home track. He's been racing here since he was an early teen.
I can almost picture Trayton Lapsevich spending the whole winter just circling this date on the calendar when he gets back to Sunset Speedway. He wants that win bad. He's hungry for it, and right now he's in a great position just watching the every move of Brandon Watson, and in his mirror, he's got Marc-Antoine Camirand, who got off to a great start, passed a couple of cars. He's in the top 3.
Welcome back to race number 1 of the 2022 NASCAR Pinty Series on TSN. We're at Sunset Speedway just outside of Barrie, Ontario. We've been green since the drop of the green. No cautions yet to slow this field, but there's your top 3 all covered by a blanket.
An interesting story with the top 3. We've got 3 different chassis builders represented. White Motorsports, McCall Racing, and of course Robin McCluskey, who put together the number 96, who is right now making a move to the inside of Lapsevich, and Marc-Antoine Camirand will take over the 2nd spot.
You heard quickly from Marc-Antoine Camirand's spotter, Nick Forte, on the radio, keeping his driver calm in the early going here. 33 laps in the books as now he puts on the chase to your race leader, Brandon Watson, in the 9.
Now here's 3 very different stories. Andrew Ranger, Mark Dilley in the 64, and Alex Tagliani in the 18. Tagliani is moving forward after having those problems pre-race, but I have to believe Andrew Ranger and Mark Dilley would have been looking for more speed. Dilley is really struggling to keep that 64 down the racetrack. It'll go into the corner fine and then just skate way up to the 3rd lane.
Remember, Tagliani started last on the field, essentially from pit lane, after they changed to a whole slew of things after qualifying, and he's already up to 14th position. But the leader into lap traffic now, there's Sam Fellows in the middle as Camirand thought about making it 3 wide, but backed off going into turn 3.
I think that was a wise choice by Camirand. It's pretty early.
Especially because you look behind him, and the FBM Chevrolet, the number 20 of Trayton Lapsevich, is right there as well.
Sam Fellows in that Curb Records number 98. You mentioned when we did the driver introductions, they're going to run the whole season. I'm excited for him to see what he can do, knowing he's got the full year ahead of him to compete in every race.
Got a quick taste of it last year as you see Alex Tagliani now moving underneath the teammate of Marc-Antoine Camirand. That's Andrew Ranger in the GM Paye Chevrolet number 27. A Chevrolet, and back to the familiar 27 of Ranger as we have contact with your race leader. And now we have a new leader at the front, and it's the 96 of Marc-Antoine Camirand.
Man, oh man, they closed in on Dexter Stacy in the 92. I can only assume there was contact, Dave, but I didn't see it. But now Brandon Watson looks to be having a hard time keeping the back end of the car under him. Trayton Lapsevich is going to go by, and now Watson back to the 3rd spot.
Watson was the class of the field through the first nearly 40 laps of this race. Now finds himself in 3rd position. There is a cushion between himself and LP Dumoulin, who is currently running 4th. Raphael Lessard rounds out the top 5 in the number 8. And there is a smoking number 3 of Brett Taylor, the TCB Trailers. Chevy Camaro showing smoke from the back end.
Yeah, guys, the consultation's going on right now with the 3 team. They can smell what they believe is the rear end as well on that 3. Saw a little bit of smoke earlier. Now just discussing a course of action. Will they bring Brett Taylor in?
Dave, that's not the kind of problem that cures itself, and it's not the kind of problem you can usually address at the racetrack. That's the kind of thing that ends your day early.
Yeah, you saw Jason Hathaway, the crew chief, and the car chief, Jason Thomas. They were discussing what they are going to do, but as of right now, it doesn't appear as though any fluid is being put down on the racetrack, so NASCAR has kept it green so far. As the 3 of Taylor in a battle now with the 84 of Larry Jackson. And Jackson sporting a brand new sponsor this year as well with eBay Motors on the side.
Happy for Larry Jackson, the career firefighter, as Wallace Stacy is on pit road in the 66 Bully's Truck Stop sponsored entry. Yeah,
so the crew going to look possible problems underneath that Chevy Camaro. So the crew taking a look after contact was made out on the racetrack. They're going to check to see if it was a tire rub or something more severe. But Stacy at the attention of his crew at this point. But look at leaders working through lap traffic. And this is the problem when you've run almost 50 laps under green. Things are starting to get pretty dicey because realistically an hour of practice earlier on today, the track has changed a bunch since then.
And you've got the comers and you've got the goers. And really, one of the goers, Mark Dilley, we ride on board as he goes a lap down. He's going in the wrong direction. The comers, that's Marc-Antoine Cameron, Brandon Watson, Trayton Lapsevich. They are backing up the great times they turned in qualifying and driving away from the field.
Have a look at the Pinty's ticker on the side of your screen, though, and you can see the gap that Cameron has been able to open up over Trayton Lapsevich. It's almost a second and a half now as they continue to work all this traffic.
And for you NASCAR fans out there, J.C. Payet, the owner of the GM Payet race team, his hero, his idol is Rick Hendrick. He wants to build a powerhouse race team out of Quebec. He wants to put multiple drivers in multiple cars. And boy, oh boy, Cameron and Andrew Ranger, he's off to a pretty good start.
Saw the 59 of Gary Clute as there is the 2 team cars out of the GM Payet Chevrolet stables. Your leader is the 96 of Marc-Antoine Cameron, and the 27 of Andrew Ranger, surprised to be able to say this, has gone a lap down in 13th.
And that's all that sits between Trayton Lapsevich and the RGC Sports number 20 and race leader Cameron. And of course, as I say that, Glenn Stiers was between them as well. But now just one car between him and the leader. And once again, I'm wrong because Marc-Antoine Cameron, he is just picking them up and laying them down.
You know, what's interesting, too, is the 9 of Brandon Watson got passed pretty quickly by both Cameron and then by the 20 of Trayton Lapsevich, but he sort of settled into 3rd spot, and he's been able to hold his own. But there you get a really good look at that smoke coming from the back of the 3.
You hear it more in dirt track racing than you do pavement racing.
Oh, we got a spin, too, and it's Watson in the 9. That's turn number 4. And it looks like he's stuck on the infield. Caution flag flies on lap 55 for the first time. And it was one of your front runners who goes around.
And I was going to say the advantage goes to the driver following the leader because you get to see exactly what they're doing and where you might be able to pick things up. So Brandon dropping back to 3rd might have learned a few things, but it definitely didn't go the way he wanted.
No, because he's gone a lap down. You saw Cameron was able to get by him while he was stuck. Have another look, though. He's coming into your screen at the bottom, and it just goes around.
It doesn't look like there was any contact either. It's hard to tell, but it looked like there was a lot of rear brakes in the car. A couple of times the back end started to come around going into the corner.
You can smell the rear end, and now there is some flame underneath the 3 of Brett Taylor, so it looks like a rear end problem for sure on the North Country Property Maintenance TCB trailers number 3.
We're good. Get the wheel back on and get it back out there. No? Hang tight, hang tight. Gear's killed. The gear's killed. Hey, the gear's killed.
I think that was a pretty clear message. The gear is killed. But let's go to Todd, who's pit side.
27 of Andrew Ranger also taking this opportunity for a pit stop during caution. They do not have the car handling the way they wanted to. So under caution, they're going to make a stop, make an adjustment, and send the 27 back out.
I talked to those guys before the race, and what they were disappointed with, it didn't seem to matter what adjustment they made to the car. They didn't feel like anything was making an improvement.
And here's another driver down pit lane. Hood is up. on the St. Hubert Viagra, number 18 of Alex Tagliani. So he will lose a lap under this pit stop. And the O'Neill Electric, number 84 of Larry Jackson, also getting service as we continue under caution here at Sunset Speedway. Welcome back to a picture-perfect day for the first race of the season of the 2022 NASCAR Pinty Series. We're at Sunset Speedway. One driver who's had trouble in the early going is standing by with our Kendra Adams. Kendra?
A lot of fire under the rear end of the number 3 car, coming in for a rear end fluid leak. Tell us, the day's over. Anything else you found out about the car?
Well, I was running really good up until I got black flagged, so I was really hoping that it was something simple. Come back in, and there was a fire under the rear end, so I guess better safe than sorry. So we'll see you next week, I guess.
And there you can see the culprit, a burned up rear end gear. We'll see Brett Taylor with 26 other drivers. Great field. Going to join us at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the eBay Motors 200. That's the next stop on the calendar.
It's time for a restart. Double file as always. Cameron on the inside in the 96. Trayton Lapsevich up high in the 20.
You mentioned it earlier, Adam. The outside is actually a decent place to be, especially on restarts. You can see Trayton Lapsevich noses in front down the back straightaway, but Cameron comes back strong, and he will lead that lap once again.
What a view from that speed shot at the start-finish line. Cameron nosing ahead of Lapsevich. Rafael Lessard lurking back there in the 3rd spot. But Lapsevich going to sneak in between 1st and 3rd, settle himself into 2nd place.
Have an eye, too, to the 47 of LP Dumoulin, your defending series champion in the WeatherTech Dodge. He's always been quietly good here at Sunset Speedway. As a matter of fact, he has a win here 2 years ago.
And how about DJ Kennington? And this is a sporty look in that Castrol Edge number 17.
Back to the green and the Castrol colors that DJ Kennington has flown here in the NASCAR Canadian Series for so many years.
What a long and successful partnership between D. He used to be the Castrol Kid. Now the Castrol Kid's kid does pretty well at racing in microsprints. That's DJ's son. If you're one, like, I wasn't sure if the math computed there, but DJ's son racing microsprints on the dirt down in southwestern Ontario.
I was just watching once again Rafael Lessard at work. You remember, he's undefeated on ovals in the NASCAR Pinty Series, but this is a new ride for him this year. Remember last year he was super sub for Donald Teach here at Sunset Speedway, won back-to-back races in the twin 125s. But this year, he's sharing that ride with Ray Quartermash Jr.
And Ed Hackinson Racing bringing 4 cars to the racetrack. They have got their hands full here this weekend, but Brett Taylor had a lot of speed in the 3, and obviously Lessard in the 8 has a lot of speed as well. So Jason Hathaway's been hard at work getting things ready.
There you can see Dumoulin starting to slide up the racetrack a little bit as DJ Kennington starts to turn up the wick just a little bit, poking his nose down the inside in turn number 3. This is not a true oval, a little bit of a D shape here at Sunset. So you can really drive it into turn number 3, but turn 4 sneaks up on you.
I'll tell you, LP Dumoulin closed the door there on DJ Kennington. If he's able to get his nose right up alongside the 47, I'm not sure if he'll let LP close the door like that.
Just in behind here, you have the 74, the bumper-to-bumper Dodge of Kevin Lacroix. Don't count him out. He is Don Thompson Jr., his crew chief. A lot of years experience. They're playing the long game in this race. He said he likes the 250-lap races where he can work some strategy.
You know, and that's a great example. Kevin Lacroix for years has come out and dominated races in the NASCAR Pinty Series, but he has never put together a championship season. I think the maturity level is right for Lacroix. Obviously, with Don Thompson Jr. on top of the pit box, he's got everything he needs to put it together. This could be a big year for the driver from St. Eustache, Quebec.
Now Kennington, the Castrol Edge Dodge, up to the inside the rear quarter. A touch on the 47 of Dumoulin. We're not even at halfway yet, and they're starting to pick up the pace. Kennington doesn't want to wait and watch Cameron drive off into the distance.
Side by side for second place, Lessard down low, Trayton Lapcevich up high, and that will be a short-lived battle.
Yeah, I think that was Trayton Lapcevich backing off. He knew the car wasn't quite as good, but again, still a lot of laps left to be completed, so the FBM Chevrolet will slot back into third place.
Cameron out front, but it's only a couple of car lengths back to Raphael Lessard. He is still within striking distance.
You can see how tight the top 5 is. Look at even the top 6 now as Lacroix has caught that pack in front of him. This is still anybody's race.
And this is an open traffic. It's not like lap cars have slowed the leader down and let people closed in. This is, as you say, those top 6 drivers, nose to tail. It's time to see who's got the speed.
Oh boy, look at this. Deep in traffic now. JP Bergeron in the Russo number 1 is in the middle, a little bit crossways in that Ford Fusion as he was trying to go around the outside of Sam Fellows, now to the inside of the 64 of Mark Dilley.
And Bergeron being new to the series, that's the challenge at Sunset Speedway. You can get up alongside somebody, but you can't get the power down and still get grip. He did a nice job there tiptoeing through the middle of Sam Fellows and Mark Dilley.
And you heard him mention in his pre-race chat with Kendra Adams that this car handles much differently than anything else he's ever driven. So he's really still just getting accustomed to it. It's a trial by fire for the rookie.
These NASCAR Canada cars are unlike any other series in NASCAR. I love them. They're a heavy race car, fiberglass body, so there's not a lot of aerodynamics to them, but they race really, really well. And speaking of racing really well, Dave.
And that's an important battle because it is a battle for position. 9th spot on the racetrack. It's also the battle for the free pass position. So in the event we get another caution, now Alex Tagliani would get his lap back, not Brandon Watson.
And these drivers know there's going to be another caution. It's going to be in 35 laps when we get to the midway break. There may be cautions before that, but at the worst, they know they're 35 laps away.
So it's a race within a race, but you can see how tight it is at the front of the field as we continue under green. We'll be back with more on TSN. We are working lap 100 of 250 here at Sunset Speedway. Marc-Antoine Cameron has set a blistering pace. He's now opened up a 1.4 second lead over second place Raphael Lessard.
And he's just picking them off, and he's able to run the same line after 100 laps that he did on the first 5 laps, keeping that car glued to the bottom and keeping the hammer down.
So I'm working around the 0 of Glenn Stiers. This a battle for third spot. DJ Kennington, Trayton Lapcevich. These two have a history. Remember the second last race at Delaware Speedway?
Yeah, DJ Kennington stole a win from Trayton Lapcevich with a textbook bump and run. Trayton Lapcevich was not at all pleased with the move.
And believe it or not, they haven't spoken since they tangled with each other at Delaware. So maybe a little bit of bad blood still there.
I like to think, Dave, actions speak louder than words anyhow.
On board the Lacroix tuning, bumper-to-bumper Dodge of Kevin Lacroix, still trailing the WeatherTech number 47 of LP Dumoulin. Look at Lapcevich goes back underneath the 17 of Kennington. Heavy traffic just in front. I was just mentioning the 0 of Glenn Stiers. He actually has former CASCAR racer Doug Brown in his pits helping him out here this weekend.
Doug Brown's boys both race dirt sprint cars, and that's what Glenn Stiers has been doing for a lot of years. In fact, he's about to get inducted into the Canadian Motorsport Hall of Fame, based largely on those accolades behind the wheel of a sprint car and his ownership of Ashwegan Speedway for the last 25 years.
Yeah, promoting dirt track racing in Ontario, and has done a great job with that. There you can see the 18 of Alex Tagliani has now caught this group as well. Remember, he's a lap down, but we're getting closer and closer to that halfway break, and as a result, that halfway break caution.
Well, and two things to remember, despite being a lap down, he wants to know how good his race car is.
Battle for 5th, though, as Lacroix goes to the outside of the Belmar number 47 of LP Dumoulin. Can he hold it on the outside, though? That's the better question, as Dumoulin got clear of the lap cars. He's tucked it almost to that curbing on the inside of 3 and 4 as Kennington comes under pressure now from the youngster Trayton Lapcevich. Not only pressure, maybe a little bit of a rub there through 1 and 2.
Yeah, if there was a rub, it was only slight. It didn't move DJ too far, but Lapsevich definitely wanted the inside lane. 15 laps to go until the midway break.
So look at Lacroix trying to make that outside groove work as he works up to that Sunset Speedway sign down the back straightaway, now in through 3 and 4, but it looks like Dumoulin, now that he's clear of lap traffic, able to hold that position, but Lapsevich still not able to finish that pass underneath the 17 of Kennington.
You almost wonder, is he doing his homework for later in the race? He knows they're going to get a break. He knows he's going to get some fresh General tires. Maybe later, if he's got to make a pass for the win, he wants to size up his car against Kennington's number 17.
Those two drivers are looking at the two ahead of them and thinking, you better settle it because we're coming through here. Sam Fellows in the 92 of Dexter Stacy, another the Bullies truck stop back entries into the EHR stable. Stacy will work around the outside of the 98 of Sam Fellows, or does he? But all the while, the 17 and the 20 are coming.
It's a back and forth affair. And Lapsevich looks to the inside of Fellows. A bold move by Lapsevich. Kennington will follow him through.
Saw Kennington get right down in front of the 47 as well. He knew that door was open. He had to close it in a hurry. Ron Fellows, the spotter for Sam Fellows, obviously telling him where the faster cars are, telling him to hold his line in that outside groove.
And it's busy out there. It's busy. Yeah. You've got lead lap cars going to the inside and the outside, so you've really got to be aware of your surroundings. And this is bad news for Andrew Ranger to go another lap down before the midway break.
Yeah, now 3 laps down, Andrew Ranger. That's not a story we thought we'd be talking about today. The leader, Cameron, and the other GM Paye Chevrolet, the 96. It's got a white roof compared to the red roof for Andrew Ranger, but he's opened up a 3.5-second lead as everybody else fights traffic.
And 3.5 seconds here at Sunset Speedway is basically a full straightaway.
And you can see it looks like he's just on cruise control. That car is working wherever he puts it.
Obviously, Marc-Antoine Cameron, more renowned for his road racing, but he has really embraced oval racing. And the one thing I've enjoyed watching as Alex Tagliani thinks about going 3 wide is the level of aggression Cameron brings to the racetrack.
Yeah, he's no stranger to a fight. He never backs down from one either. Running for years with Scott Steckley and now in this brand new team. But he has no need to fight right now. He can just sort of kick back and relax. He's got a big enough lead that he can almost just ease it to the halfway break. We're 4 laps away from when caution expected to fly.
And this is where a spotter becomes so important. Now, Nick Fortin is the spotter for Marc-Antoine Cameron, and now he's got to be saying, look, take it easy, get to the break, don't risk anything.
Saw a quick glimpse of the 59 of Gary Clute making a full-time run this season in the new Techwood Dodge. So another new sponsor coming on board, and it's great to see Gary Clute back full-time. He's running comfortably inside the top 10, albeit a lap down at this point.
You see Lassard keep reaching down to his right. What's down there is the brake bias adjuster. You can move the... Oh, problems for DJ Kennington.
It looks like a flat right front tire on the Castrol Edge Dodge of Kennington. Green still out as Kennington wheels to his pit.
Crew immediately going to work. They were going to be ready for the halftime break, but this is a little sooner than they wanted to be. They've got to give that car a lift to be able to get the jack underneath.
Possibly contact while working through lap traffic for the Castrol Edge Dodge. We'll have another look as we ride on board with DJ.
TJ Renamato to his right there on the outside. Oh, Renamato goes for a big slide out of 4. Kennington couldn't change his trajectory that quickly coming off of turn number 4.
Yeah, so the green staying out, and now we get to the halfway mark as you see the cross flags. Not officially the halfway break, but Kennington continues to go laps down.
Cameron working the back end of Sam Fellows. He'll duck to the inside of that Kurt Records number 98, and the caution is out, so that'll save Sam Fellows a lap. And we will restack this field and get ready for a brief break before we tackle the second half of this 250-lap affair.
Yeah, so this will give the teams an opportunity to come down, get fuel, get 4 new General tires, and set their cars up for the second half of this race. But have a look at this. Some interesting stats. The 50-plus starts club. We have 9 drivers, including 3 past champions, a total of 941 starts, 93 wins. Drivers with less than 50 starts, only 5 wins.
How many drivers have more than 175 starts?
Just one, DJ Kennington. Todd?
NASCAR has given the signal to teams they are okay to go over the wall and service their cars. The 96 of Marc-Antoine Cameron will receive fuel to take him the rest of the distance. Just check with crew chief Robin McCluskey. They said no changes planned. The car is as if it's riding on rails. Let's go to Kendra.
Thanks, Todd. Same here with the 8 of Raphael Lessard. He's feeling pretty comfortable, and he's just going to go with a slight track bar adjustment.
Dave, there's a lot of cars that are handling well out there. I mean, I shouldn't say a lot because there's less than 10 on the lead lap. But the cars that are running well, Lessard, Lapsevich, the race leader, Cameron, this is still anybody's race.
Yeah, it is. We'll get to see it all shake out in the second half after this. And welcome back to the NASCAR Pinty Series on TSN and the NTN Ultimate Bearing Experience 250, presented by GD Coats Used Car Superstore. As we continue under caution, but have a look at what happened earlier. Oops.
Have we got Robert Duvall on the radio? I want you to go out and hit the pace car.
Marc-Antoine Cameron, your leader, not expecting the pace truck to stop where it did, making slight contact. Good news, no damage to the nose of that GM Paye Chevrolet number 96 as the pace truck wheels off. You can see a little black mark, and that's pretty much about it. But Raphael Lessard will line up alongside as we get set to go back to green. Once again, the engines pick up off turn number 4. They head to turn number 1 side by side, 4 rows deep.
Lessard drove it so deep, but Cameron running his line just around the bottom. Look, Lessard is working so hard to keep pace, and Cameron, man, like you've said a couple of times, that car is just on a rail.
DJ Kennington has lined up in the 6th position, but you remember he went several laps down, currently running in 13th. So he has a lot of work to do if he wants to get back in this one.
Well, the challenge for Kennington right now is he will not get a free pass. There's just so many cars 1 lap down, 2 laps down. If he's got any shot to have a better finish, he's got to pass these cars while he's close to them and pick up 1 lap that way. But that's going to be a tall order.
You can see Cameron able to open up a bit of a gap now because 2nd place was running so close together. Now Lessard will drop back into 3rd place. Look who's up inside the top 5 comfortably now, and it's the 74 of Kevin Lacroix.
He's lurking.
Yeah.
Working the inside of Lessard. Oh, and Lessard in the last second has to redirect.
With a little bit of a surprise, you can see him. He grabs a wheel and turned right for a second. So all of a sudden, the shiny red nose of that Dodge Challenger was right up underneath his quarter panel.
Good reflexes, good communication there as Lacroix and Lessard battle it out side by side for 3rd, just ahead of them. I mean, they're keeping pace with Trayton Lapsevich. Hard to do when you're racing side by side.
On board with Kevin Lacroix, have a listen.
Man, it does sound good to be here at the races, to hear it, to smell it. Great crowd on hand.
And a big thank you to Brian and Sandra Tonish as well for their hospitality this weekend. They rolled out the red carpet for the NASCAR Pinty Series, as they have done for the past several years, even through the pandemic. Done a great job here today.
They certainly have, as you see Brandon Watson in that number 9 alongside Andrew Ranger. That is not a battle for position.
Yes, and now you have to sort of look at your notes. Keep an eye on our ticker, and that's where we have all the drivers 1 lap, 2 lap, 3 laps down, and where they are in the running order at this point. So not all of these races on track are for position. As you mentioned, the 9 is not at this point, but he's, again, still trying to get that free pass position.
And if not get the free pass, work his way up. He's only got 3 more cars to pass, and he will be back on the lead lap. So you can wait for that free pass, or you can drive your way there. Racers have a certain level of pride, Dave, because it is very, very hard to race your way back onto the lead lap of a short track race. But we saw DJ Kennington driving hard to do it. We see Brandon Watson driving hard to do it.
Yeah, and we know that number 9 Sheer Metals car is fast, qualified on pole earlier on today. So he is quick. He led a bunch of laps in the early going as well before having that unfortunate spin. About 30 laps in.
Defending champion of a series sponsored by APC Auto Parts Centers, and now in the NASCAR Pinty Series with APC Auto Parts Centers on the fenders of that car. I love that story.
Yeah, and he has experience in a lot of different cars. Started in go-karts, moved to 4-cylinder cars, then actually moved up to a limited late model very quickly. Drove a super late as well at a very young age. Drivers with experience. So Rafael Lessard, remember him from the Truck Series just a couple of years ago, so does know how to get it done.
And the best of the best are oh so smooth. They're smooth on the throttle and the brakes. They're smooth on the steering wheel.
Yeah, just watch his hands now as he works through turn number 3. Right on the back bumper of that RGC group, number 20 of Trayton Lapcevich. Now to the inside, a dice for second spot as Lessard moves down low. Can Trayton Lapcevich fight back up high?
And Lapcevich got the memo. He moved up the racetrack. Who is spotting for Lapcevich? Is his father Jeff spotting, or is Jeff on the pit box?
No, Jeff's actually working on tires. It's Ken Coutu who is in the spotter's stand for the 20 of Trayton Lapcevich, a veteran of the NASCAR Pinty Series.
He was with Scott Stackley through all of his championship seasons. So definitely a calming voice on the radio and a knowledgeable voice.
There you can see the 47 of LP Dumoulin. He's struggling a little bit after this break, starting to fall back just a little bit.
He's been good all day. The trouble is, a few cars have been great, and we've got trouble.
Yeah, the 71 of Brian Cathcart involved, the 0 of Glenn Stiers, and Dexter Stacy looks like he got the worst of it in the 92.
Cosmetics are not looking good for the 92 of Stacy and Glenn Stiers. I believe he has knocked the rear end out of that 0 machine. Yeah, you can see as he tries to pull away, it is just askew. I don't think he's going to drive very far.
There's a good look at the Cathcart machine out of Peterborough, Ontario. Have another look at what happened. Just catch the end of it there. It looks like a spin in front, and Stacy got collected by the 71. This is from Larry Jackson.
I think Stacy was the first to spin, and then really Brian Cathcart and Glenn Stiers were victims of circumstance.
Heavy damage to the EHR number 92 of Dexter Stacy. Couple cars coming down pit lane. The 84 of Larry Jackson, the 98 of Sam Fellows, getting some adjustments, trying to make their cars right as we head into the stretch run here at Sunset Speedway. The NTN Ultimate Bearing Experience 250 is brought to you by WeatherTech. Laser measured for a perfect fit. Nothing protects your car, truck, or SUV like WeatherTech. By eBay Motors, the right parts and the right vehicles at the right price. Let's ride. And by Quick Wick, the world's best fire starter.
The field doubles up and we get ready for another restart. Laps are winding down. You can see the lights are coming up on the speedway. Racing into the night here at Sunset.
And this is interesting because we talked about how the track changed from practice into the race. Well, it's going to change a lot as the sun starts to set as well.
Back underway into the final 100 laps of this 250-lap race, and they can go in a hurry. TJ Reynamato stopping at the ice cream stand at 1 and 2.
He was hunting for the cushion up in turn number 1, stayed off the wall, and we stayed green as we've got a new leader. Rafael Lessard leads at the line.
Lessard again working hard in the outside groove. Marc-Antoine Cameron, you could have driven 2 cars between them. Cameron is coming off the corner so low. Now he'll run up alongside Rafael Lessard, but look at how far they spread out. That's uncommon in short track racing.
Marc-Antoine Cameron must be wondering what it is on the outside of him. He hasn't seen a car out there all race. He's been so dominant for so long in that number 96, and now he's got a fight on his hands as the two start to roll up their sleeves.
Kevin Lacroix harassing the 20 of Trayton Lapcevich for position. That's the battle for third, and they can see this race for the lead about 10 car lengths in front of their windshield.
How about the 59 of Gary Kloot? It's been 4 years since he's been on an oval track. He's done a lot of road course racing in the time since, but he's finding that chair just as comfortable as the day he left.
Having a super quiet day, but a successful day, maintaining his spot in the top 5 as Raphael Lessard takes up position in second place, looking at the back bumper of that Cameron number 96 as he had so much today.
And you can see him reach forward. That's brake fans, rad fans. They go through those switches because it does affect the performance of the car. If you want to cool down your brakes a little bit, you flick your fans on. If you want to preserve some power, you turn them off.
Kennington alongside Ranger. Dumoulin alongside Alex Tagliani.
And you can see there's the 9 of Brandon Watson. So he did get the free pass, and now he's working his way back up through the field. This is a pass for position if he can make it stick underneath the 47 of LP Dumoulin.
Both these cars on the lead lap. That is your battle for the 6th spot. Watson is really able to drive the car deep into the turn.
Yeah, so whatever changes they made during the break definitely brought that car back up to life because it was very loose through the early half of this race.
Yeah, he led for so long there. What was it, 30, 40 laps?
Yeah.
But when he got past, he struggled to keep pace with the 96 Cameron.
Cameron's back out in front, but the 8 of Raphael Lessard is definitely keeping him honest now as he runs a little different line. One driver is out, is standing by with our Kendra Adams. Kendra?
All right, thanks so much, Larry. So you pulled off early, you had a great qualifying run. What happened today?
I think we had a brake line fail, and then we had a brand new battery put in that died on us. So, racing.
Even when he's out, he's got a smile on his face. Larry Jackson, one of the happiest fellas you'll ever meet at a racetrack.
You'll never be disappointed for Larry Jackson when he has a good run. Like you say, just such an upbeat person. He's going to run the whole season this year.
And he just gives it his all every time he's out there.
Brandon Watson closing in on a few more cars that are fairly quick, but 2 of them not on the lead lap. Gary Kloot would get him back into the top 5 if he can get around, but Alex Tagliani and DJ Kennington both laps down to the leader.
And Tagliani has been down pit lane with the hood up, so maybe some issues on that Viagra Saint-Sever number 18 out of the 22 Racing stable, but now Watson looking to the outside of Tagliani as Tagliani tries to put the bumper to the 59 of Gary Kloot. They're not racing for position, but Tagliani doesn't want to wait.
They're racing for pride. Remember, the first 2 times this series came to Sunset Speedway, 2015 and 16, I believe, Tagliani waxed the field, dominated.
Well, he's got a really good car here today. Unfortunately, went a lap down early, and now Watson does move into the top 5 and crossways into turn 1. Here comes Kloot back down on the inside.
What just happened? Wow. And we saw that earlier when he spun out. He's got a lot of rear brake cranked into that car.
That was pucker factor Zulu right there.
Yep.
But he hung on to it, and now he's going to hang on to the top 5 as well as Watson powers around the outside, puts the 59 of Kloot back to 6th.
Within 75 laps of the end of this one, we're getting down to the final push. Like, this is where you want to make sure that you're in position. And this thing, we've seen these races go green for a long, long time. You can't let the leaders get too far away.
Well, it's been the story of the race so far is that the top 3 have been relatively close all race long. At one point, Cameron was able to open up a lead while the others raced within traffic. But now, look, it's less than a second, now just over a second between Cameron, Lessard, and Lapcevich, who's running in 3rd.
Lessard with a really wide grip on that steering wheel, but I noticed Brandon Watson the same. It's they've got him right around the spokes, but they're beyond 10 and 2.
Possibly easier. I mean, they do have power steering in these cars, so you shouldn't have to wheel it in so much as you would without power steering, but whatever the driver finds comfortable is what they'll use.
And there definitely is no one right way to do it. It's whatever the driver feels.
So Marc-Antoine Cameron continues to pace the field here at Sunset Speedway as darkness starts to set in. We're working lap 193 at Sunset Speedway, third of a mile oval in Innisfil, Ontario, that opened in 1968. Went under a revamp in 2009 to its current configuration, and this configuration suits your race leader, Marc-Antoine Cameron, just fine. Thank you very much. Started fifth, has led a race high 158 laps.
And he had opened up a bit of a gap on Raphael Lessard, but now that they've encountered this slower traffic, that'll allow Lessard to close in, although Cameron taking a 3-wide move to go around 2 cars in the same corner, that's going to help his cause.
Passed a note from our stats guy, Bryce. The last time Marc-Antoine Cameron led this amount of laps, his high was 116 at St. Eustache, and he went on to win that race. His only oval win in the NASCAR Pinty Series.
Well, there you have it.
Drayton Lapsevich working lap traffic underneath the number 98 of Sam Fellows. Fellows didn't think he was going to be there. Got the call from spotter Ron Fellows, Canadian Motorsport Hall of Fame member. Tell him, car inside. And you can see him back out fairly quickly. So we work our way through the field back to the 74 of Kevin Lacroix, who started 11th, currently running in the 4th position.
And Lacroix, not a mark on that race car. We've seen him get out of shape a couple of times, but still keeping that car pretty. Rounding out the top 5 is Brandon Watson out of Stayner, Ontario. Started on the pole, currently running in that 5th spot, but he's on his way back towards the front after problems.
If we get a caution, I'd be interested to find out how that number 9 car will fare, because he is very, very quick, and he's been stuck so deep in traffic for so long. As we look back to your 6th place driver, and that's where we find the 59 of Gary Kloot. Started 10th, currently 6th, having a quietly good day. We talked about how quiet it's been for the 59, and that suits him just fine today.
The New Tech Wood Dodge is hanging in there, having a solid race. Like you say, get a yellow flag, anything can happen. Now we get to our defending champion from Trois-Rivières, Quebec. He started in the 3rd spot. He runs in the 7th spot. It's LP Dumoulin in the WeatherTech 47.
There's another driver who could use a caution at this stage in the race just to gain that track position back up, because his spotter will be telling him it's time to go. The leader is coming and closing the gap on that Belmar WeatherTech number 47.
Mark Dilley putting the pressure on. I don't know what they did to the 64, but he's able to keep it down on the bottom of the racetrack. His Cameron to the outside of TJ Renamato to put the former Jostens Rookie of the Year another lap down.
Cameron once again looking very, very comfortable. Not quite the quickest on the track at this point, because he is working through lap traffic, as we ride on board once again with Raphael Lessard as he'll work around the outside of Wallace Stacy in the Bullies truck stop number 66.
And as quick as he reaches down, I mean, he is making very minor adjustments to the brake bias. Started to explain it earlier. And what you adjust is the power going to the front brakes or the rear brakes, the ratio of power. More front brake will let the car push a little bit. More rear brake will let the car turn.
Well, there's the driver who needs no adjustment right now. The 96 of Marc-Antoine Cameron, a comfortable number. The one he started his career with back out front. The leader back into intense lap traffic as we get down to the final few laps here of the NTN Ultimate Bearing Experience 250 at Sunset Speedway, and the 8 of Raphael Lessard is right on his back bumper.
LP Dumoulin has gone a lap down with Cameron's torrid pace. He tries to get to the inside of Alex Tagliani.
So is the 74 of Kevin Lacroix. He's also gone a lap down. So Lacroix, who is running so well in the latter half of this race, now finds himself a lap down to your race leader.
And with just a few laps to go, that'll make the battle between Lacroix and Dumoulin intense. They'll need a yellow flag to get that free pass. But the way these races go historically, Dave, there is very often yellows at the end of these races.
Alex Tagliani, the monkey in the middle there between Cameron and the 8 of Raphael Lessard, finally tucks down to the inside, lets Lessard go around on the outside, but the top two separated by a lap car for just a second. Now Lessard has to drive that much harder to try and close the gap.
It's time. It's time to drive that much harder, to do what you need to do. A couple of times I thought he missed the mark going into the turn, but I almost think he was trying things out on the high side. He's tried a couple of different entry points, and it does not look like they've all worked for him, but he's got to explore.
Well, that's the beauty of this track here at Sunset Speedway. He can let it drift up, let that banking hold you, get back on the gas, and try and use your momentum down the back straightaway. And an interesting aspect of this track, if you run where Marc-Antoine Cameron is running, there's a couple bumps right down the middle of the back straightaway. A little higher it's smooth, a little lower it's smooth.
And they are not on the throttle nearly as long as they were early in the race. These tires are starting to wear out.
And we tipped our hat to the folks here at Sunset Speedway, Brian and Sandra Todish. We also have to tip our hat to Sherry Putnam, who once again at the helm of the NASCAR Pinty Series has put together a wonderful schedule, a return to a full national series as we talked about off the top of the show.
And we had a look at Stefan Pilon up on the pit box there. He's the crew chief this weekend for Raphael Lessard, but he did not expect to be the crew chief.
Craig Masters was supposed to be the crew chief here this weekend. Unfortunately, had an emergency that he had to tend to and could not make today's race. So Stefan Pilon stepping in his stead. And I'd say he's doing an admirable job because his driver is sitting comfortably in second spot.
So far, so good, that's for sure. And you talk about Sherry Putnam, she has really helped to navigate. I mean, along with great support from Pinty's and the track promoters who put on races the last couple of years, but that was no easy task to navigate these last 2 seasons.
No, it did feel weird to come to the track without any fans for a couple of years, but there is the 96 of Cameron putting a lap down on your 4th place car, Brandon Watson. So did Watson use up too much trying to get back to the lead, get that lap back under power?
It would seem that way. I mean, it would seem everybody has used up too much because Cameron's driving away from Raphael Lessard. 12 laps to go now.
Yeah, the gap back to Lessard is almost a second. We got a car around in turn number 2. That's the 66 of Wallace Stacy. Everybody avoided.
Who put that there?
But it puts a caution here. That's what it does. And that's going to bunch the field.
At the bottom of the screen, Wallace Stacy just got a little out of shape. And I'll tell you, hats off to Wallace Stacy, Brian Cathcart, Glenn Stiers, a few drivers that are in the prime of, in the autumn of their prime.
Yeah, let's just call them the old guns, not necessarily the young guns. But great to have them in the series here this season as we get set to go back to green. Cameron with Lessard up on the outside. And look at the drive from the 8 up in the outside groove.
Big launch by Raphael Lessard. He'll hold the lead down the back straightaway. Can he close the door on Cameron? Oh, contact.
And Lessard slides up the racetrack. That's the first time I've seen the number 96 crossways at any point during this race as Cameron has to gather it back up.
And Lessard is using all of the racetrack all the way up to the outside wall. Then he'll go down in the corner along the passenger door of Cameron. So we've got 5 laps to go.
Look who is lurking. The 20 of Drayton Lapcevich. This is his home track. This is where he cut his racing teeth. And he's just waiting to see how this battle in front of him plays out. And right now, it is the 8 of Raphael Lessard looking to make it 4 for 4 on ovals. And we've got a caution once again.
Yellow flag is out. It's Sam Fellows in the 98. Raphael Lessard was falling back from Cameron with 15 laps to go. What on earth did he find under that last caution?
He found some speed. Maybe he was saving his stuff, knowing historically there's a glut of cautions at the end of this race. Well, we'll have NASCAR overtime when we do go back to green. Have another look at what happened to the 98 of Sam Fellows.
I believe Sam Fellows is towards the back of the field. Oh, no, he's right in the middle.
Yeah, looks like he got contact. A couple other drivers involved there as well, but everybody able to continue. And, of course, because of that caution the last time, the 9 of Brandon Watson is back on the lead lap. There you see him sneaking up the outside of the traffic. He'll restart with your race leaders when we go back to green in 1 lap time.
NASCAR overtime, green, white, checkered. This time, for the first time, Rafael Lessard is going to set the pace. You see him close the visor.
Be interesting to see if he wants to start down low. That car has been so good. And the outside groove, you see damage to the 9 of Brandon Watson as he restarts in 4th. But look at how far up the racetrack the 8 of Lessard pushes the 96. And here comes Cameron back to the inside. Contact in 1 and 2. And Lapcevich is going to take over the top spot down the back straightaway.
What a series of events. Lapcevich with the lead. He's running down low. Lessard up high. White flag in the air.
Cameron all the way back to 4th now. Lapcevich will hold on to it in 1 and 2. Back to the outside goes the 8 of Rafael Lessard. Side by side down the back straightaway. One more try in turn number 4. He can't make it stick. First time winner, Trayton Lapcevich.
Rafael Lessard comes home second. Brandon Watson third. Marc-Antoine Cameron limps his car back for a 4th place finish. What a finish. What a restart.
What just happened?
Unbelievable. And look, there is not a mark on that 20 car.
Big high fives from the 22 racing team, as Trayton Lapcevich will collect the checkered flag in victory lane. We'll be back to chat with him. It took him 13 starts to get there, but Trayton Lapcevich a winner in the NASCAR Pinty Series.
You know, he went through his ups and he went through his downs. The last time we saw him in victory lane, it was angry words he was having with DJ Kennington.
Let's send it down to Todd Lewis. Todd?
And there he is, with that enthusiastic smile. The teenager from Grimsby, Ontario, celebrates with a wave of the checkered flag. He has come close twice before, finishing runner-up, including here at Sunset. What a dramatic end. Take me through those last couple of laps.
Oh, wow. First of all, I got to start off by thanking everyone at 22 Racing, FBM, RGC Sports, Quick. I wouldn't be here without them. So, no, the last 2 laps were wild. Mark got into him in 1 and 2 and took advantage quick, and then it was just keeping Rafael behind me from then on.
Celebrate with a first victory for Trayton Lapcevich here to open the season at Sunset Speedway.
Wow, you could just hear the excitement in his voice, can't you?
You really can, and Rafael Lessard just kind of lurking in the background. He gives a handshake to Trayton Lapcevich. That is a classy move right there.
Speaking of Lessard, he's standing by with Kendra.
Excellent work, Rafael here, second place finish. You stalked the whole race and you were so close. Tell us about that ending lap.
I thought I had it for a second, but it's part of it. I guess the 96 didn't want to get past clean this year, but it's all right. It was a good race. He was super fast. That was all I had. I was like, man, I'm burning up my tire just trying to follow him. He was the class of the field. I was just trying to maintain the gap and push him as hard as I could. So if there was a restart at the end, I could capitalize. I could run the outside better than most. But congrats to Trayton Lapcevich. First win is awesome for him, but we'll try to get more wins with EHR. Ken thanks Easy Clean, Shocko, Fast Eddie Speedway, and Transit for all the support.
Big smiles for Rafael Lessard. Let's take a look at the Delta Bingo top 20 finishers here today. And there you see Cameron all the way down in 4th after dominating performance.
Gary Kloot with a solid finish in 6th. Alex Tagliani, they fought all day long for a solid top 10.
A couple drivers have to be disappointed. DJ Kennington, Andrew Ranger, they expected big things here in race number 1. And Todd standing by with your 3rd place finisher.
Brandon Watson, you had an eventful night, led early on, fell to the back, charged all the way back to a podium finish. That's quite an eventful 250.
Yeah, it definitely was. These White Motorsports guys gave us a great car. Can't thank them enough. GMS, Sheer Model Products, all them guys, APC, Great Lakes Concrete, and Redline Apparel. You know, we like I said, we had a good run to start. We fell off a little bit, started getting loose in and loose off, so we struggled there. As you see, we got passed by the 96 and Trayton there, so we fell back and then just got in too loose into turn 3 there. Struggled with brakes too, so I put a lot of turns in the front and it just wasn't enough, and just pushed down that pedal too hard, and we got loose in. Unfortunately, we struggled after that. Fell behind, got stuck on the curve there, so it was an unfortunate break for us, but the crew worked hard and we worked our way back up to 3rd. Fortunately, got caught up in the air in there, last little caution, but like I said, we were able to make it back up, and then we're happy with the 3rd place finish.
Well done.
Thank you.
And there is Paul Mio from NTN with the winner's hardware going to Trayton Lapsevich here at Sunset Speedway.
And interesting to note, Dave, but statistically, Trayton Lapsevich and older brother Caden Lapsevich, after 13 races, have amazingly similar statistics.
Look at even the average finish, 7.38. Believe it or not, you know, Caden Lapsevich went on to win a NASCAR Pinty Series championship.
I think that could be the moral of the story, but a great start for Trayton Lapsevich. Great action here at Sunset Speedway. This was a fun one.
Let's take a look at the point standings as they sit after one race presented by Fast Eddie. And obviously, as they finished on the track is how they sit in the point standings, except for Cameron, tied for third there.
And Cameron's got to feel pretty good because you go back to him, Kevin Lacroix, those are road course aces as we head to CTMP.
And there is the podium, smiling faces, and the trophies go up as the celebrations continue. The first race of the 2022 NASCAR Pinty Series has been brought to you by Leland Industries, a proud Canadian fastener company. By Sunbelt Rentals, ready-to-work equipment when and where you need it. And by Castrol Edge. What a way to kick off the 2022 season. As you see, the photos in victory lane, but the cars were prepped and the drivers were ready.
What a journey it's been to get to this point. I believe we're embarking on what will be the greatest NASCAR Pinty Series ever.
Well, if this first race is any indication, we are in for a treat here in 2022. The next race, of course, will be back on a road course at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
It's going to be just like this, but add about half a dozen more cars to the mix on a long weekend, the May 2-4.
What a way to kick things off from all of us here at Fuel Media Lab. We'll see you at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.